call to order the October 4th City Council meeting of the City of Keystone Heights. We're going to be hearing an invocation from Pastor Scott Stanlin at Trinity Baptist Church, and it'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance being led by William Nelson, Sergeant at Arms at the American Legion Post 202. If you would, please join in standing.
Thank you. Let's pray together. Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you've given to us. And Father, we pray now your blessing over this meeting tonight, that Father, you would give clarity and direction to our council. And Father, as we conduct the business of the Keystone Heights, we just pray, Father, that it will be clear and directive. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and to pray before these folks. And we ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to call roll, please?
Mayor Lake,
Here.
Vice Mayor Hart,
Here.
Councilman Bobby Brown,
Here.
Councilman Tony Brown,
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any public comment cards?
I have one from Mr. J. Harper. I apologize.
Mr. Harper, would you like to come to the podium, please? Sure. And just state your name and your address for the record.
John Harper, 7900 State Road 100, Keystone Heights.
Thank you.
So the huge pickleball community is growing in the town, and the only problem we have is they play in the mornings at 7:30, but you know, a lot of people work, and then with the time change is fixing to go on, there's nowhere going to be to play. So we wanted to like play at night, and we used to play tennis at the courts, and you had a thing to turn the lights on and stuff like that. So I'm wondering what it would take for us to maybe get a pay-as-you-go with the light system on there and paint the lines for the pickleball court on the tennis court. What do you need from...
during public comments, we usually don't have a conversation,
Uh-huh.
but you can share what you would like us to know,
Uh-huh.
and at some future date, we can, if council member wants to bring it up, we can put it on an agenda.
Okay.
Okay? So anything else you want us to know about pickleball?
I mean, we could do the lines, that would be cost-free, or what? The only thing is, how do you get the lights on at night?
I think Ms. Rakowski can address the lights.
So, Council, that's going to be something that's going to be on our agenda to talk about under our workshop for upcoming projects. As those lights are no longer in working condition, we need to have conversations. That's been brought up before on somebody's project list. So those will be conversations that we'll have in the very near future.
Okay, so we will be discussing it. Can you share the workshop with them, because they could attend the workshop as well?
We will have a workshop on October 27th, which is a Wednesday at 3 p.m. to discuss citywide projects.
Okay.
And that's one of the ones that'll be on that list.
And I have there's a couple different options on where and how to paint the lines, and you can put forward just two using the nets that are there, or there's some other options. So I should bring that paperwork to the workshop then.
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay?
That it?
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sirs. I know that this is going to be an exciting meeting. You might not want to leave right now, right? No, you can go. Yes. Yes, you can go. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hope to see you on the workshop. All right, we have under events, we have homecoming parade, and I don't see anyone here. Are you going to take it, Ms. Rakowski?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if I may. We do have an application for a revised homecoming parade after lots of conversations between us, the from City Hall, the school district, as well as the sheriff's office, it's been agreed upon for this coming Thursday at 5:30. There is a proposed route that's within your packets. Staff has worked closely with Miss Adams, who's putting on the event, as well as CCSO, to make sure that everything is taken care of in an appropriate manner. There will be electronic signs, I believe, within the neighborhood that was been arranged by Ms. Adams to let them know that these roads will be closed, and then we will also post the route once it's approved by council on our social media.
Any questions for Ms. Rakowski on the event application? This
And
is a
just for
little-
clarification, this will not be going on State Road 21.
Correct. So, and this is not a daytime parade like it's been held in the past. They are buddying it up with actual powwow so that everyone can enjoy the parade.
Cool.
Okay? Is there a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. All right. Homecoming parade is on. Nothing on the consent agenda this evening, Ms. Rakowski?
No, Madam Mayor, with staff changes, we're in training.
Okay, awesome. Then we're under old business, the Keystone Heights Elementary School road barricades. And I believe we have representatives from the Clay County School District here with us. And I really want to introduce the new principal. I'm excited for Ms. Tuberville. Ms. Tuberville, you want to come up with your group? And by way of explanation to some members who may not know you, do you want to just share a little bit about who you are and
Sure. Well, my name is Beth Turbyville, and I was previously an assistant principal at the high school over the last 3 years, and now I am the current new principal of Keystone Elementary School. I have a lot of background in elementary education, and so I decided to make the move from the secondary level back to the elementary level, which is where my heart is. I'm very happy to be a little Indian, loving it right now.
That's awesome. So do you want your project manager to take over and explain the?
I would also, if you have any questions also, I have also our school resource officer here with us.
Oh,
This
excellent.
is Mr. Wade, Officer Wade, and he can also answer some questions with regard to safety and things like that current safety conditions.
You bet. So if you
Okay.
want to bring your project manager up, we'll hear about the mechanics of it.
Hey, how are you? I'm Jeff Marks.
It's nice to see you, Jeff.
The mechanics are, we propose that we would like to better enhance. If you don't mind, I'd like to read it.
Sure.
In order to better adhere to Chapter 7, Section 2 of the Keystone Heights Traffic Code, we propose that we install some swing arm gates. I don't know if the other, you can see the locations at the east and west side of Pecan Street. The post for the swing arm gates will be in the right of way on the inside of the sidewalk. And on that east side, that southeast side, there is a crosswalk. They will be on the inside of that crosswalk, so it never impedes the crosswalk itself. These gates will only be shut for pickup at drop-off time. The rest of the time, they will be locked in the open position. And the gates will be, the cost of the gates, the install of the gates will be on the school district, and the maintenance will be on the school district. All we're asking for is permission to put those gates in the right-of-way and to close that road at the same time that we normally close the road to drop off and pick off.
Okay. Any questions about the mechanics? Yes, sir?
I wasn't here at the last meeting, okay? And I've been here, I was at elementary school back in the 60s and the 70s. And it's always been a bus drop-off right there. My concern is, and I'll just be upfront with you, I don't like the idea, okay? But I need to know why y'all are wanting to do this, because you're the youth resource officer?
Yes, sir. I'm
Okay.
Officer Wade with the Clay County District School Police. I actually am the resource officer for the elementary itself,
Okay.
and
So-
I've had plenty of experience out there so far.
This afternoon, I sat there, and there's one car sitting in that behind the buses. My concern is you got a PSA sitting there. There was a school police officer car down at Highland, I believe that's Highland,
Yes, sir, that was my agency vehicle.
okay? Do y'all not have the jurisdiction to tell these people not to go down there?
Yes, sir, I've actually been giving verbal warnings thus far. I've had quite a bit of traffic, try to pass school buses with their signs out, lights on. People disregard my vehicle, have gone around it. I've actually had to get in it and actually pull a few people over and talk to them about what they were doing, because they're obviously violating a lot of safety protocols. So the thing is, with the school resource officers, we are law enforcement. The Clay County District School Public Safety Assistants, they are not. So they cannot pull anyone over. They are not interacting with the public except to get people safely across those crosswalks. They have no right to pull anyone over, to stop them, to tell them to do this or that. So I'm the only one. And with that in mind, I sometimes get pulled away to other areas of the campus. I can't be standing out there in a fixed position during dismissal. If we were to have a worst case scenario with an active shooter, I would be somewhere else.
Well, I understand
And,
that.
Yeah, we don't want the kids getting run over.
The thing is, you guys are wanting to put this thing across this road, but you got 2 other roads on the side. What are you prepared to do for that? Because you can have people coming up Jasmine and up these 2 side streets and coming right up to the buses too. So, I mean, that's, to me, I'm gonna tell you from experience, because I've been around here for a while, you put those up, they're gonna go around, they're gonna come up those side streets.
Yes, sir, but we have.
If they want in there, and why, I don't understand why they have to come down here, because it's been that way for years, and you've got a nice drop-off area. And my thing is, I'd put the sheriff's department in there and start stroking some tickets, you know? And I see you back there, Lieutenant.
That's up to the sheriff's department, sir.
But I have a problem putting a bar over a main street. I would rather, because if you close that off, every time you got a bus coming, that PSA or whoever's on the other end is gonna have to open that thing up. And,
we have faculty that
could we
can
start
handle that.
off with some cones and see how that works?
Well, we've
I'll
had
tell you
barriers.
From our previous experience, at the beginning of the year, we had cones, we've had barriers set up, and cars will literally blow right past. We've had some near accidents that have been very scary, especially since we have students crossing that street, even though we are there with them. We've had semis blow past. We've had, honestly, there have been enough incidents that have prompted me to ask for this, honestly. And I know that I am a new principal and I understand all that, but it is, safety of our students is my top concern. We changed our dismissal procedures. We've changed several things to make things safer for our students. And I really felt like this is necessary. We just don't have, we would be able to open the gates for the buses. We can handle that kind of thing, but we can't stop traffic from blowing past us. That has been a real issue.
Go ahead, I'm thinking.
Okay, the barricade thing is gonna go across both lanes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so,
And they, like I said, they will only be closed during pickup and drop-off time.
Like they are now. They're closed now, allegedly.
Yeah. And the rest of the time, they will be locked and secured in the open position.
right. At the other end, when the buses fill up, kids all come out.
Yes,
Buses fill up, and you'll open that and then let them through.
yes, sir.
Any other questions before I comment?
I'd like to have you address Tony Brown's concern about people finding a way in by using side streets and just going around a barricade. Yeah.
We have plastic barricades that we can put up there in front of the side streets that would actually give them the indication that they're not supposed to be traversing that particular area, especially at that time. I mean, with both areas or both ends of that particular area marked with through traffic only signs from a particular hour to a particular hour, it's really not helping. People just aren't paying attention. Like Ms. Turbyville said, we've had semis go around my vehicle. We've had delivery trucks. We've had construction crews, yard maintenance people, various private vehicles, just POVs traversing the area, just coming on down, you know, buses stop, kids moving. Not a good situation. It just depends on how safe we want to keep them, I guess.
So you're saying you're going to put up cones at the secondary access points?
Yes, sir. On the adjacent streets that connect to that particular throughway, there will be plastic barriers that are movable and will present a precautionary type of indication for them to say, hey, we're not supposed to be coming through here at this particular hour. We could also most likely put the times and the information on there if necessary and hang it from those particular barriers just to give them a secondary indication, but it's clearly marked at either end of the street. So.
But you're not contemplating having those manned, the secondary access points?
Well, with the school buses where they park, we always have at least 3 or 4 administrators out there with each bus getting kids on and off of that particular vehicle at that time. They're also monitoring or have been monitoring what's been going on, so they could keep an eye if someone were to pull up there. We've always got someone, at least from the administration, that can address people who try to maybe move into that particular area. And then if necessary, if it becomes a law enforcement issue, they can always alert me.
Thank you.
So I thank you guys for coming down, and I received Ms. Turbyville's email, and I'm one of these grandmas now. I'm a grandma now. No direct kids in school, but I believe it was really important for you to address the public safety issues as you were doing. And so, I trust you are doing the best possible thing you can think of in order to secure the bus lane. And so, I'm in support of it.
I have a couple more. Is there any other school in the district that you have to do this?
Orange Park Elementary School actually has a road that runs through the middle of their Just saying we have gates that close that road off for the duration of the school time.
Okay.
They're open in the morning, then when school starts, those gates close, and then they're open back up in the afternoon. But that school and your school here would be the only ones.
What are the time frames in the morning? I saw that there were specific time frames mentioned, but then crossed out, and now it's sort of up to you all to dictate the times. Is that a fair reading of what I'm looking at?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Usually the time frames go year to year, and that schedule is submitted to the city. I'm not really sure how often or when. I'm sorry. I do know it's every year.
Okay.
Typically, the school times do not change much, but we do have to allow. We didn't want to put hard times in there, and then next year not be 7:20 at 7:25. And you have to adjust everything. So we were trying to be a little more generic.
You're looking at maybe an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon?
Oh, I don't even think
Best
it's that long,
estimate?
is it?
I think it's about 45 minutes, if I
45
remember.
minutes.
Yes, sir, about 45 minutes.
Okay.
About 45 minutes. One actually runs from 2:15 to 3:30 in the afternoon, but it should be 7:45 in the morning till 9, so that hour and 15 minutes really either way. Of course, we can always, if someone pulls up, there's a resident, that type of thing, they can always be ushered in and allowed to go, what have you, to their particular. But really, there are many ways to get back around there and go a different direction in order instead of going to that particular throughway. So
nobody would be landlocked from their access to their house. You
we're not going
can
to prevent
stuff up.
residents from moving freely.
To legal counsel, would this require a resolution, in your opinion?
There probably should be an interlocal agreement that just outlines kind of what the expectations are, who would maintain, if it's determined at some point that it's not beneficial to the city, the ability to change
I was
it.
going to say, could we have a sunset provision there? So we can take a second look at it next
You
spring?
can
You
do
could.
whatever you want.
Sure.
I would have a concern when it's not in use, you're locking it in place. It's out of the way. Vandals maybe cutting the lock, swinging the arm out.
Yes, when it's not in use, it will be secured and locked in the open position.
Yeah, but I'm from the area. It can happen.
Well, they do have a swing arm already on their property, and they use it on a daily basis, the pecan entrance to the parking lot. And so they do the same thing with that swing arm as they're proposing for these two. It's locked in place, an employee makes sure it's locked before they get into class.
And we're also going to be instituting some further safety things as well. The district is helping us with some speed bumps through our drive-through areas. And another swing arm gate, actually they're going to provide for us on the school property to keep cars from parking too early before our dismissal, because we've had some emergency things take place and people can't get in to the school. So we have other things as well that were taking place with the district as well. So like I said, safety is just my top priority since I became the principal of the school. I want to make sure that our kids are safe.
Ms. Fikowski, I thought you looked like you had something to say. Did you have something to say?
The only thing that I was going to remind Councilman Bobby Brown, if you'll pull down your microphone and speak into the microphone.
Yeah, pull it towards you. And it's green, so it's on.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Outside of that, Madam Mayor, it's the pleasure of the council.
Okay, Mr. Commando.
Just on clarification, for Orange Park Elementary, where Stiles Avenue goes through, that actually is part of their campus. The campus is on both sides, so it's a little bit different than this. And also, I'd wonder, have you talked to the neighbors and around and gotten their feedback? Because they're the ones that are going to come complain to the council.
See, this got brought to us several years ago to do the other side of Pecan, down, I believe it was to Field or Bird Street. And the big thing with that was the residents. But that, you would have to deter the traffic all down Jasmine and all that, and through the neighborhoods and stuff.
And that's going to be barricaded, at least with plastic barricades or something.
And I know several residents I've talked to would relish that idea. They would think that would be a better idea than what's happening now, which is there's no barricade there. I've talked to several residents who, by the crosswalk there, at the new parking lot, there's a crosswalk there. And some people will come to the side street, drop their kids off, and go across the crosswalk down on Pecan. It's probably where you're sitting, right?
Yeah,
Do you sit there?
Right there at Highland.
Is that at Highland? And if his presence was there, or there was another barricade there, I think those residents would like that.
Has anybody objected that you're aware of, Madam
No,
Mayor?
nobody that I've talked to. In fact, one lady actually sold her house because she's just tired of the cars parking in front of her yard. But
Well, my biggest thing is I live in that neighborhood, not there, but across the street by the football field. And I know some of the stuff that these kids do at night and whatever, and my concern would be, and it's minor, but it's a concern, is that thing gets, on both ends, gets open or across the road during the night, and somebody come along there. I mean, if it's that bright yellow, if they hit it, they need glasses, but still, it's got to be secured. I mean, it's definitely got to be secured. So, because these kids will find a way to. I used to be a teenager here, so, but I behaved.
One of the two. They'd have to have something kind of lock or chain link.
Okay.
Then there'll be vandalism, criminals.
So, but I do like your sign you put on the fence. That's very noticeable.
the banner?
And I would hope that would, deter them, but I go back to the part of, if they're doing it, and if we could work with the sheriff's department and put a deputy down there, during those times, and start stroking tickets. I mean, if they're breaking the law, that sign right there, it says the Times, has been there for forever. So, if they're breaking it, give them a ticket.
Well, we could also go, as Mr. Commando said, or Mr. Hart, we can enter into an agreement to change the traffic pattern and then reevaluate it at a future date, and if we need to. And nothing's set in stone. I mean, you can allow them to do what they need to do to keep the kids safe now, and then if something else occurs down the road, we can address that as well.
Perhaps have the interlocal agreement from now until the end of this particular school year, and then have a renewal provision in there, basically saying if neither side wants to change it, it would continue on an annual basis after that. At least then we could evaluate how it's working from the city standpoint.
I like that.
Okay, so what's the will of the council?
I move that we approve the agreement as to concept, provided that it ends at the end of this school year and that either party can cancel the agreement. If there's no cancellation, then the agreement will continue on an annual basis after that.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? I will say, I think that it'll work. I feel positive about what you came up with. I know that in conversation with Ms. Rakowski several years ago, the subject came up, and she shared with me that John Ward was in the safety seat at the time, and they had talked about an accordion barrier of some kind of design. And so this has been an ongoing conversation, and it sounds to me as if people have become more reckless, or there's just more traffic because we have more residents using those feeder streets to the schools. But for whatever reason, if you're seeing that it's unsafe for children and families, we need to make that right. And so I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
I'll bring you back the interlocal for your.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tuberville. Thank you.
guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we are moving on to committee reports. Budget and Finance, there is nothing. Growth Management,
No report.
Mr. Kirkland. And I want to share with you, Mr. Kirkland, that there are 2 bets on the table today. One by Ms. Rakowski at a 6:40 sine die, and one by Mr. Hart for 3 more minutes. No pressure.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm going to speak very slowly and drag this out.
Mr. Kirkland, I am your last agenda item on your meeting tomorrow night, so please understand.
Ooh, my arm hurts already from that one. A little arm twisting there. Okay, I'll be very brief because not a lot has happened, but I can give you a few updates. Surveying and geotech borings on our taxi lane project have been completed. That now opens things up so our engineer can enter into the design phase. And just a good thing about that, the project is 100% funded by the FAA. So this comes about as a result of inspections that FDOT, Aviation and Spaceports, does every year at the airport on runways, taxiways, and taxi lanes. Taxiways provide a surface to get to a runway to take off and land and come back. Taxi lanes take you from the runway and taxiway to the hangar. So that asphalt in a lot of those areas has been there a long time. In fact, some of the concrete is actually the original concrete that was put there in the 40s when the airfield was built. Unfortunately, we have no update from the FAA on our environmental assessment. I guess these folks are still in their bunkers and barricades and basements, and it's just really hard to get information. But we're working on another route to possibly maybe leverage some support from Congresswoman Kat Kamick, and having someone on her staff contact the The last thing I have is just a reminder that our new FBO Grand Opening is this Wednesday, October the 6th. It will begin at 3 p.m. and we're going through 6 p.m. So I hope all of you can be there for that. That's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you for your short report.
You're more than welcome. Thank you all.
All right, moving on to planning and zoning. Ms. Rakowski, anything for us on planning and zoning?
I have received application for a Popeye's chicken to be constructed within our commercial district. And then we are anticipating an application for use by exception of variances for the gas station within our downtown core.
Excellent. Do you have a planning and zoning meeting date yet?
I do not. We just received those with the first application today.
Okay, thank you. Heritage Commission.
A couple of things, and I'm going to break my own rule here, timing. First thing is with the help of Lynn and staff, we were able to locate where the signage is going to go commemorating the old hotel. It's going to be by the gazebo next to the parking lot in the interior of the park. Very good location. It'll have shade, people will be able to read it, and it won't be visible from the street, so the chance of vandalism is probably a heck of a lot less. Second thing, I just want to mention that the Heritage Commission has been kicking around for some time the concept of creating an historic district downtown, and I'm just throwing this out just as a concept. I'm going to direct your attention to our Code of Ordinances Appendix U, which contains the process for creating a historic district. When we passed that ordinance, or when you passed that ordinance, I believe it was in 2008, that was contained in that. If you want to go to keystoneheights.us, then community, and then codes and ordinances, you can reach it from there. It's really a pretty easy read. The process is pretty simple, but it has all sorts of protections for due process to treat property owners fairly. So I'm not making any proposal. I just want you to be aware that that ordinance exists, and maybe you can take a look at it and form an opinion as to whether or not you think it might be something we should do. That's all I have.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What designates the age of historical buildings?
Of a building is 50 years.
50 years?
Now, to qualify for a historic district, the district itself or the area has to be at least 50 years old.
Okay.
And all the buildings don't have to be 50 years old. So you could create, for example, a historic district downtown and cover the buildings that are 50 and more, and the younger ones, of course, wouldn't be involved.
Everything on that end, that side?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I think it could be constructed so that it could include the pavilion. Now, of course, it's essentially brand new now, but 20, 30 years from now, it would then have some restriction as to what you can do. And this would only cover the exterior of the buildings. It has nothing to do with the interior or the use. That's zoning. That's something entirely different. It's just to try to get a uniform look downtown, because we know things are going to change with the water, and to try to at least anticipate having the downtown look nice. So that's why. And the Heritage Commission, like I say, has been kicking this around for a while.
Right.
The process would be, basically the Heritage Commission could start the process. There's a hearing involved. There's a way property owners, if a majority of the property owners object, then the council makes the final determination, but it takes a 4/5 vote of the council. So there's all sorts of protection. That's all in the ordinance, and it's pretty well laid out. So if you have time, just take a peek at it.
Okay, thank you.
So moving to new business, we have item A, Keystone Heights Cemetery costs, and B, Keystone Heights Cemetery policies. Are we going to tackle those at the same time?
Sure.
Okay, so who wants to start?
I'll start, if I may, Madam Mayor. So in your packets, the first item is a spreadsheet. We received some pricing for some cemeteries within the Northeast Florida. They range, the first item of business is the cost of each individual lot. We found that prices range from a local cemetery at $750. Now that it's a local cemetery, it's a church-owned cemetery, fairly at capacity, all the way up to $5,500. Currently, the Keystone Heights Cemetery lot is at $900. So if it's council's desire to look at that cost, to move it up to maybe $1,000 or of like, I wanted to make sure the council was aware of prices in the area. And then the second point of business under this is the cost of each niche. As you'll see, the single niches range from $450 all the way up to $5,000. Our columbarium, you can put 2 niches or you can put 2 urns in 1 niche. And so the proposed rate for that is $750. And so that'll cover either if you want to put 1 urn or 2 in there. And then there's additional pricing for engraving and whatnot at the pleasure of each individual niche.
Okay. Any discussion, any questions of council? Actually, Mr. Brown, Tony Brown, I know that this is one of your pet projects and you've kind of championed it. Did you want to make a recommendation based on your research?
I will make that recommendation because this is something, when we first took possession of that cemetery, this was one of the things we wanted to do. More of a mausoleum style with the niches, but what staff has done is awesome. If you haven't been up there to look at it, I mean, it is something that people have asked for ever since we've had the property. So I think the staff has done an excellent job, and I make that recommendation.
So your recommendation is to increase the cemetery lots to 1,000 and the niches to 750?
Yes, ma'am.
Any conversation about that?
That'd be at the low end of the, if you want to put it this way, the competition.
Spectrum, yeah, the
Yep.
spectrum. Ms. Kelly, any comments?
No.
All right. Is there a motion to the effect?
I make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
And I will like to say not that I go around looking at cemeteries, but we do have one of the nicest cemeteries around here. It's very
Madam-
well taken care
Oh,
of.
I apologize.
So-
Yes, ma'am?
There's one other item that goes along with that. So if you are aware that we do have the niches, and then inside we do have the ossuary, which is I guess our version of a garden, of which a communal ossuary. So the price of that, with each individual niche going at $750, the recommendation is $300, and then that would be a client can purchase a satchel, which is a velvet bag that the cremains can be put into, and then they'll be placed into the communal ossuary.
And so that rate was $300 per?
Per, yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion about that?
I would be seconding a friendly amendment to your original motion.
Yes, I'll make an amendment to that motion and add the $300.
Is there a second for the amendment?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Playground equipment, Ms. Rakowski?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have asked Public Works to go around and do an assessment of all of our playground equipment. There's several quick fixes for our existing equipment so that we do not have to remove with one. This is the truck that is across the street at the beach on the other side of the bridge. This has structural damage, and if it is the pleasure of the council, this is the one item that right now we see the need to remove. Everything else can be patched and repaired until we come up with a larger playground design, playground plan, if you will, with DRMP.
Any discussion?
Looks pretty sorry. I think it ought to go.
I'm not really proud of that structure, to be honest.
Was that
No,
the
not
one-
at all. This
Was
is,
that the one that was back here and it was moved over there? Because we had one back here at
we
one
still
time.
have one back there, so the wood needs to be replaced on the one that's behind City Hall. This one does have structural damage.
Okay.
Everything else can be fixed until we come up with a plan for replacement and modifications.
I'm in favor of removing the structure.
Yep.
Do you need a motion, or do you just need consensus?
A motion, please.
Yes. Is there a motion to
I'll
remove
make a
the
motion that we remove that truck
structure?
structure.
Robin's Egg Blue truck.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Marion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Do you have others? Did you want us to show us anything else, or is that the only one you really needed a decision on?
That's the only one that I need a decision on. Everything else will have a maintenance plan for the next 30 days.
Okay. Awesome. ARP and project workshop, I think we've discussed this at the CRA meeting. Did you have more?
No, Madam Mayor, so it's confirmed for 10/27 at 3 p.m. And then I will ask that a final call for any projects that you would like to see included in our project list, or wish list, if you will. Please email them to me by the end of the week. That way we can put that into categories and then bring that for conversation at the 27th.
Okay. And then E, I think we've addressed it, but I'm going to Mr. Commando to see if he has further on section 7-2 traffic plan.
Actually, this was provided to me by Mr. Harvin with the school district.
Oh, okay.
He runs into an issue every year to where they change the timing of the lights, the school zones, by a minute or two, and our ordinances are very specific, and so that he took a stab at drafting the ordinances so it allows that fluctuation. And this was what he emailed for just consideration to the council. This isn't for vote, it's just for your visibility and for conversations between yourself and legal.
And so, Mr. Commando, you've had a chance to look at it. What is your opinion?
I was just waiting to see the direction from council before I
So if we approve this, then, Mr. Prokowski, what you're saying is we wouldn't have to go through this every year because the fluctuation would be built in?
The fluctuation would be built in, but if you approve this tonight, or if the consensus to move forward, then it would have to come back to public hearing.
Okay. Is there any discussion, any questions of staff?
I think it's a reasonable request.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Mr. Brown?
I'm good.
Okay. So is it the consensus for them to draw this up and bring it back for public hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you need a motion? No. Excellent. Okay. Council comments. They'll start with Mr. Tony Brown.
Oh, man. I would, I'm happy the lieutenant's here tonight because I want to make another plea about dirt bikes with small children. There's one that has been around the elementary school football field for the past week or so. I don't know where I tried to catch up with him to see where he lived so I could let somebody know, but I couldn't. But it's a small little dirt bike, and he's getting it. I mean, actually on my way up here, he was at the elementary school jumping sidewalks on Pecan. So that is still a concern of mine, but I looked at the other night, I was in Gainesville Saturday night, and I don't know if it's a gang or what it was, but there's a whole bunch of guys on dirt bikes, no headlights, and they come right in front of me on University in Waldo Road. Then they were down at by 75, then they were on Archer, and when I was leaving town, they were on East University again. And I don't want to see that happen in Keystone. I mean, some of these kids, I was a kid once, and I got stopped for riding on dirt road by the Women's Club. But these kids are on our streets, our hard streets, Orchid, Pecan, all those streets back in there. And there's a couple girls that are on a go-kart, which that is low to the ground. Somebody's going to get hit. And when they do, it's going to be bad. And I just want to bring that to our attention again, that we just need to, I guess every time I see them, I'm going to start calling the sheriff's office. I mean, I know these guys they got better things to do than chase these kids, but somebody's going to get hurt, somebody might get killed, and that's a concern of mine. The last thing is, and I meant to say it before the pastor said anything, but I heard this afternoon that our First Lady has got breast cancer, and we need to keep her in our prayers. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Bobby Brown, do you have anything?
Not at this time. I'm just proud to be a part of Keystone, and everybody does a great job. It's just those little details sometimes that makes it a little bit rougher, but great place to live. Proud to live.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly?
Yes, I agree. Tony, are you talking about our governor's wife?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And
Saw
I'll say it today.
Yeah.
I have no further comment. I covered what I wanted to say under heritage.
Okay, cool. Just want to mention a couple of new groups that I had an opportunity to meet with over the month. It was a pleasure meeting with Mayors Gaw of Green Cove Springs and Anderson of Orange Park. We had lunch here from the bakery, and we took it down to the pavilion, and I showed off our new pavilion. We discussed things that we had in common. That was wonderful. Today, I was able to attend a meeting of the Daughters of the American Revolution. That was the first time I had gone out and met with them. So they're doing some awesome work and have done some good things for the schools in our community. And then I think I've worked every single home football game, and you know, we're a good team. And so it's been a pleasure to get out to the games and see the enthusiasm for this team. They're very senior laden, so we're going to lose a lot of talent after this year. So if you haven't been, homecoming is this week, and so if you don't have anything to do on Friday night, come out and see a football game. It's really fun. I think a number of us attended the dedication of the fallen soldier at Keystone Heights High School, which was really a special ceremony. We're acknowledging that, you know, 2 people from Keystone who attended Keystone Heights High School went into the military and died subsequently. And so the memorial is really, really wonderful. And then also had an opportunity to speak at the September meeting of the Women's Club, and they're a fun group of people. So mention that. Ms. Burkowski, anything?
Just a quick reminder that the DRMP will be holding their workshops on November 8th at 3 and 6. There is a Florida League of Cities dinner in Palaca. Reservations are due Wednesday the 13th. The dinner is going to be on the 21st. And then a reminder that the opening of the FBO office at the airport is this Wednesday at 4 p.m. and National Night Out is tomorrow in
night.
the parking lot from 5 to 9.
Yes. And I will say there's 2 gentlemen in the room who are wearing pink shirts, and I'm happy that you're recognizing Breast Cancer Awareness Month since you recognize Governor's wife. It's an important month to celebrate recovery from breast cancer. So, Mr. Commando.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anything else for the good of the order?